Hi, it's Joy, and today we're watching Only Murders in the Building, Season 3, Episode 8, Sitzprobe, which is a theatre term for something or other to do with like when a show's nearly ready to be performed. I don't know. Very excited to see what happens next. I hope this episode ends with the three of them back together, working together, or at least patch things up. Reminder that you can find the unedited version of this reaction on my Patreon. Now let's go.
Those choices change everything.
My crazy theory is now that she gave a child up for adoption and she knows it was adopted into the Glenroy family, and she thought it was Ben because he was a theatre actor like her, which is why she'd been collecting the stuff of him, but now it wasn't, it was the other guy.
A visiting director from New York agreed.
Oh dear.
After grad, there was a couple in town who couldn't conceive, and I
The
thought it was best
Glenroys!
for everyone.
See, I initially thought Ben was going to be her adopted kid, but
You had a baby brother. You wouldn't be alone. I followed you from afar. I made a book about you.
is it because
I
it
cherish.
is a book about Dickie,
Made me
but
sad
Dickie's always
because
in
I
the
thought I'd
background
never
of the
see you
shots.
again. But then, there it was.
Yeah.
A sign.
She knew which one was her kid, but he was
Chance
always in
to
the background of the
finally meet you.
pictures.
Ready, Durkin?
It's our Sitzprobe rehearsal.
Yes. It's quite terrible that he took it when you know the context, isn't it?
And if there's still time to make it all right.
So I suppose she could have killed him for Dickie.
Wondering if maybe we could talk later. You know, or I could just hand you something that I wrote and run away.
All right, everyone, gather around.
Just give him the letter and run.
And I need everyone to be dialed in. No distractions.
Has she spoken to them yet?
God keeps telling me it's Dickie.
I told you to stay away. Actually, I don't mind Dickie. Not in the cast. Yes, let's go with Dickie. Dickie did it.
Wow, I can see your priorities haven't changed.
Hey, you know what else hasn't changed?
Your
What a
friends.
terrific team we make. We're back. The trio is back. Trio on 3, 1.
Apologies should be made.
No, I'm getting.
I'm very excited for this musical.
Who goes there? NYPD, motherfucker!
She's back!
Pour cold water on this perfectly executed surprise reunion, but why does it have to be someone from here? Interrogations happen here. Question a suspect, taken a tune. I mean, why does murder always have to be such a dreary business anyway?
Yeah,
Do you imagine how
I mean, you've got to
focused you'd be on your Sitzprobe if you were waiting your turn to be interrogated?
Yeah, they're a weird ass bunch.
And I can help, but we've got to get in on those interviews.
My show is hanging on by a thread here.
Finding this killer is the only way that you'll actually have an opening night.
She's right. We're
She
back.
is.
Whoa, hands up, let's go.
Charles, they need to
Huge break in the
talk.
case. You gotta come with me.
We could actually help. I mean, puzzles are kind of my thing too.
There's a killer on the loose. This is what I do. Go get me scotch tape, then get the hell out of my way.
You should have reassembled it and then showed Mabel.
Perfect for sitting and probing.
Young man, come and have a seat.
Yeah.
Thank you. Charles, I'm not talking till you get up and go.
Was his idea really, it's my dressing room?
Have fun. Just looking for my weighted blanket. Just continue the questioning like I'm not even.
There must be a room where you can hear from the next room, or there's a vent or something, or is he clearing the vent or something?
You took something from my apartment,
Uh-huh.
didn't you?
In fact, Mabel thinks it's Dickie, and Mabel's never wrong. Except when she suggested that I move the singing.
Think of her reaction to Dickie just then.
Though, maybe I just stay here until I think of the right devastating analogy.
Putnam. Get the fuck out.
Like, she will take this down to the station if you keep interrupting her.
Maybe I should find out what your theory is and lend a hand.
You know, killers sometimes insert themselves into investigations.
Oh, Dickie's just a really good kid.
Said he like 50?
Yeah, he's
Hmm.
a child. Well, but what about poison? You know, we don't really know Bobo, do we? I mean, he's the comic relief, but is the comedy hiding something sinister?
She
That's
just
how
wants to protect
poison
her
was
son.
almonds.
For the Pickwick triplets. God help us all.
Yeah.
I really have to do the whole thing.
Just watch. Just watch.
You can do it, Charles.
It's time to give these teething, seething
They're so scared.
the third death.
I kind of want to see this musical now.
Quick triplets did it. You who admit it. So quick as a whip, got a pick, which triplet
Did it.
Bats her little eyes. Is she a killer in disguise? With a
I'm very happy right now.
criminal intent. Should I look outside this nursery? What if none of the Pickwick triplets did it? I pick you!
He did it. This musical sounds ludicrous.
Important in here.
See it. Rat poison.
You're right. There's something important in there, and only you can find it.
I don't know if I can.
Howard, put the words into terms. Assuming no luck with Williams.
Funny, isn't it? The way she doubts us.
Oh, she thinks we're fools.
But that's only because we're so skilled at playing them.
Weird flex, but okay.
We have the interrogations on tape.
Bless them.
Charles, let's bring the lady up to speed.
If Williams is a theater nut.
We knew she'd be interested in a patter song, and doubly so if it involved Charles absolutely humiliating himself. Now, I don't know if you've ever hit it deep, so I painted a picture of just how the interrogation room was left unattended.
Thing is, we did miss several interrogations.
But you guys actually did it.
Uh-huh.
Please tell they
What this
recorded.
girl's for?
Want to make a podcast with me?
Oh my god, this is corny.
So
I know.
It makes me happy though.
As a mother, you can't help it. You spend your whole life looking out for your child. It never stops. And you'll do anything to make
Is
sure.
she gonna confess to it? To try and protect Dickie because she thinks he maybe did do it? Or that he's gonna get framed for it or something?
This is pure Oliver Putnam.
Ludicrous in the best way.
Tell me, Maxine.
And then he was back.
I was trapped again. I couldn't take it anymore.
Did you do it? Not the poisoning, but...
Of course I do.
So he did push him.
That I do trust you.
And I don't care about the book. I don't care about any of it.
She's gonna confess, isn't she? Because she thinks Dickie just confessed to her and she wants to
Do our
protect
show.
him.
And there's more. And it's a biggie.
Oliver.
I love you. Wow, I haven't said those words in a minute.
Well, they mentioned his heart attack in the previously. So is she gonna confess to the murder in front of everyone and he's gonna collapse? Please say no.
But you know what? Break a leg.
I don't know that. I mean, it sounded like Dickie was saying I just couldn't do it again. So like he did do it, but it also doesn't necessarily mean he did.
Charles, these aren't photos of Ben.
Mm-hmm.
They're photos of Dickie.
For the sake of our child, I give my life completely. I did it. I killed Ben.
Were they just taking him to like question him, or
Poison in his disgusting protein drink. Pushed him down the elevator shaft.
Loretta, no. No, no.
Not gonna let another innocent man go to jail for what I did.
Leave her alone. You can't do this.
Oliver?
I'm sorry, Oliver.
Were they even definitely arresting Dickie? Did Oliver?
Oh, God.
Oliver? What's going on? Oliver! Hey! Oliver! Oliver, wake up!
Call somebody, get some help! Oh, my God. Come on, Oliver, please, man.
They're just so worried about him.
Get some help!
have to believe it's going to be okay. It's one of the biggest dangers, in a way, of adopting a child because you can't conceive, is the fear that if you then conceived, would you love one child more than the other? And I don't know. Hopefully you wouldn't. I know it's very difficult to be certain, and like one of the reasons my parents didn't adopt when they had me was because my mum was worried she wouldn't love the child as much. Obviously she didn't ever try it, and she was worried that the kid would feel less than. And I know that someone she worked with adopted, had a child, and they adopted a child, and the child was quite troubled, and so they put so much effort into making sure the adopted child, who came from a troubled background, knew they were loved and accepted, that their biological child spiraled out of control because they didn't feel loved. So it is a very messy thing to do. There are obviously thousands of wonderful, beautiful cases of melded families and beautiful things. Adoption is wonderful, but like it is a very tricky subject, and it definitely seems like the Kleinroyds had their biological son and he was the shining star and the other kid was just there to prop him up, which is horrible. It's not what you think when you leave your kid. If you give your kid up for adoption, you are doing it because you think they're going to have a better life, especially when you give it to the literal family themselves. I'm glad we know Loretta's backstory now. And it does add up. It does make sense with what we've seen. Now, the conversation she had with Dickie, where he said, you know, for those brief moments where he was dead, I felt relieved. And then I just couldn't, I was trapped. I couldn't do it. Does sound like he's suggesting he made sure he wouldn't have to do it and he gave his brother a wee shove. And that is why he purchased the bloody handkerchief. Doesn't necessarily solve the mystery of who did the initial poisoning. There is an attempted murderer and a successful murderer. But it, like, I'm at the point now where I'm like, it seems like they've just said it was Dickie, but I'm also like, is it? Because this show loves a twist. I don't trust anything. Loretta obviously is 100% innocent. She just confessed to everything to protect Dickie for the sake of the child, because he is her son. Our crew, at least, have all the information. They have the book, they have the letter. So they know, realistically, it's very unlikely it was Loretta. I'll probably have to consider it again, but they will be able to think, well, yeah, she thinks it is Dickie. She's definitely just stepped in and taken his place to protect him, like she couldn't when he was younger. It's a mess. And then when Oliver went down and they were so worried about him, and it just I love how much they love each other. It got to me, okay? I have to believe Oliver is going to be fine. The musical actually sounds really good. Like, not like, I mean, there are some, like, I often struggle with saying what my favourite musical is, because I've seen lots, I love musicals, and I wouldn't compare The Addams Family, though it's not my favourite musical, or Chitty Bang Bang to Les Mis. Even Wicked and Les Mis, two of my favourite musicals, they are so genrely different. But this seems like the best kind of, everyone knows it's a bit ludicrous, but just go with it and it works kind of musical. Like, I want them to release the soundtrack. I'm in it for some of these songs. And I like that the critics seem to actually kind of like it too. Because I think sometimes with certain things, you have to acknowledge, yes, this is absurd, but we are doing it, and then it works. So I ultimately hope the show ends with them doing the musical. I am very intrigued about who poisoned. I still have to believe there were cookies left, and that's who he was talking to in the video. Maybe something will come up in the interviews, though they did seem after the interviews to be very pro-Dickie. At this point, I will say Dickie probably is the one that shoved him down the elevator shaft, but I will also say that there is an asterisk by that this show loves a twist. And just when you're like, ah, it was you, they're like, you thought it's actually this person. But I still have no idea who is behind the cookies. I feel like most of our evidence, and I'm even assuming it was cookies, most of the evidence we have is based on the handkerchief, and that was from the secondary thing. It is possible it was all the same person, but if we're going to say Dickie definitely did the shoving that did kill him, then the cookies was someone else. Does rat poison like not show up in your system or something? I don't know. The information, the thing that was dated to that day that was shredded, that's surely got to be important. There'll be something there. I am very intrigued about what it is, and I can't wait to solve this case more. My favourite part of this episode was, other than finding out about Loretta's past, was the trio reuniting. And like, you know, it was like an act of service apology by they helped the podcast, which helped Mabel, which made her accept them. I'm glad that they're all going to be on the... No. I'm glad they're all going to be on the same page, but of course going forwards, they're going to be like, oh, Oliver, you just had a heart attack, and we've just found out that's not your first heart attack. We don't want you to get too stressed, so that's going to be interesting, but at least they're all on the same page going forwards. They have vital information about Loretta that will help influence how they look at the rest of the case. And yeah, I kind of want to see Death Rattle Dazzle, which when Oliver first suggested it, I was like, and now I'm like, take my money. I'm a simple soul. I love musical theatre. A reminder that you can find the unedited version of this reaction on my Patreon, and thank you so much for watching.